Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Therese and this video is part of my 52-week art journal challenge where I create one visual story each week based on a prompt. Today I'm sharing week 5 of the challenge and I will be walking you through my process as I build this page from the first layers all the way to the final details. This is a time-lapse video, so as much as I want to make this slower and more like a tutorial, I don't think you would want a 6-hour video. But I'm still going to share my techniques as many of the steps are repetitive, so feel free to paint along or just watch and enjoy the process. So I have 4 weeks done by the time I filmed this. If you're a member in my Patreon, I have shared there my new paintings and writings in my pages. So if you want to have access to that, to get first looks in my journal, and if you want to join the mail club where I send you exclusive stickers, postcards, art journal prompts, and an excerpt of my entries shipped to you in custom envelopes. I will be showing the next physical mail rewards later on in the video. I shared in the beginning the supplies I'm using and you can find their links in the video description in case you like something in particular. Then I started by preparing the page. I will be doing a full page painting and I want some nice and straight edges, so I'm using a washi tape to mask every side. In terms of the paint combinations, I'm not aiming for anything specific yet. This stage is really about getting comfortable and breaking the blank page feeling, but I already have a specific mood for this page and I want that to match or describe a part of the story. I usually list some weekly prompts first for the month, based on the season or the transitions in between. For example, let's say right now it's winter and then I will think of aspects in this season that relate to what I am currently going through, or maybe my past experiences and things I'm looking forward to in the next season, like spring, to form a story that you can resonate with in everyday life. I also like to include moral of the story kind of element in each prompt, and you can find some realizations and creative invitation by the end of each story. So I have the prompts first and then I will write the story. This comes from mundane things that I do, things I notice during that certain week, some interactions and even dreams. In each story, I don't really make it purely based on what happened that week. Like I mentioned, I include lines from my past experiences and kind of connect it to the present, as well as adding artistic dialogues, fictional characters, events, figures of speech. I like similes and metaphors. You can see quite a lot of that in my writings and my captions whenever I post new pages I made on Patreon. When it comes to the visuals, my interpretations can be both direct and completely different. This week's prompt is Dream Garden, and I am illustrating directly this part of the story. The first couple paragraphs talk about this. I have a very wide vision of this dream garden that I want, but I can only paint a perspective of it, so I'll just do one full page. For the physical rewards that I send for my mail club, I tried to fit everything in 3 pages for the excerpts or my journal entry that I'm including in the mail. Talking about the painting, I'm using gouache paint and I worked loosely on the base layers, letting my hand move freely. If your lines or marks don't look perfect, that is completely okay. In art journaling, those imperfections often become part of the story. If you're following along, take your time with this step. There's no rush. I probably painted this illustration alone in the course of like 3 days. I blocked my main colors, and at this point I'm thinking more about the mood, and I tried to add some textures already by using shades close to the initial colors before I move on to the next area. This way works efficiently when using gouache, especially when there's a lot of elements around the whole illustration. Like a garden, there's so much natural elements. I'm keeping my brush strokes soft and uneven. If they overlap or mix in unexpected ways, I just let that happen. A small tip here, using lighter pressure helps keep this layer airy and flexible for later adjustments. I'm adding more contrast here by deepening some areas using darker shades of the colors I used previously and leaving others lighter. Contrast helps create visual interest even in abstract or expressive journal pages. It gives the eye places to rest and places to explore. I'm also letting layers dry slightly before adding new ones. That helps keep the colors from turning muddy, though sometimes muddy textures can be beautiful too. I do the same thing to the flowers. There are bigger flowers blooming towards us and tiny little dots for those farther away. I try to have similar colors with 1 or 2 accents for the flowers. Although there are a bunch of beautiful flowers with different colors, I want to have a cohesive look for this painting. I also have other elements like lantern, a window, watering can, and a beautiful ornamental fence, which is my favorite part of this painting. My sketch for that has been covered, so I'm using a white gel pen to trace the swirls a bit and just painted on top of it with white using a detail brush. It's time to remove the washi tapes when it's done. Then I move on to the other side of the spread to paint more individual illustrations. Earlier this month, my son and I went for a walk after his school, and I'm just overjoyed by that simple activity because it has been really cold and windy here. It was so nice to see the afternoon sunshine more. We went around the riverside and we walked past by a huge and beautiful bougainvilleas. I think I'll put a picture here that I took that day. And I just felt like incorporating that in this story out of many other flowers out there. So that's what I painted here. I also painted some white angel flowering plant. We have a bunch of that in the neighborhood too. Now I want to read to you the story that I wrote for this prompt. Ilara dreamed of gardens that week, the kind that grew in unlikely places, spilling over stone walls, sprouting in forgotten paths, blooming where no one expected them to. In her dreams, the air was always warm, and the colors were too rich to be real. Flowers faced toward her as she passed, petals opening like they recognized her. They see what she carries, a heart burning for something she has not figured out just yet. When she woke, the images clung to her like morning fog. She carried them with her through the day while washing dishes, answering emails, while going for a walk. Everywhere she looked, she saw hints of her dream garden, such as a weed pushing through cracked pavement, ivy climbing a rusted fence, a burst of bougainvillea against gray concrete. That afternoon, she visited her parents' land with unfinished house and a large yard. The place had been quite empty for some time now, waiting for decisions no one felt ready to make. Ilara let herself in with a spare key hidden beneath the loose stone by the steps. The place smelled like dust and dried flowers. Sunlight filtered through lace curtains, casting soft patterns across the floor. Out back, the garden waited, yearning for roses climbing trellises, herbs spilling from clay pots, marigolds lining the path like small suns. Now it had grown wild. Lavender tangled with grass, vines crept where they pleased. Yet somehow it felt more alive than ever. Ilara stepped barefoot into the soil. She remembered her mother kneeling beside her long ago, pressing seeds into her small palm, saying, "Gardens are stories you tell the earth. What you plant says what you hope for." Standing there now, Ilara wondered what she would plant if this garden were hers. Not only flowers, but desires, longings she'd tucked away when life became too loud, when the uncertain future scared her. She imagined patches of courage growing tall and wild, beds of rest where productivity is not exhausting, vines of creativity climbing and not restricted. The thought felt strangely real, as though somewhere, beneath the visible physical garden, another one existed, a dream garden, one that mirrored her real purpose. When she returned home, she didn't hesitate. She opened her art journal and turned to a fresh page. Instead of planning, she let her hand wander. She painted winding paths that led nowhere and everywhere at once. She layered greens over blues, blues over gold. She pressed dried leaves into the page, letting their veins imprint softly onto the paper. Shapes emerged like flowers that didn't exist, trees that bent like dancers, roots curling into symbols she didn't name. The garden grew outward and inward at the same time. As she worked, she felt a sense of permission to imagine freely and to create without asking whether it made sense. Gardens didn't need logic. They needed care, patience, trust, and a faithful steward. When she finally closed her journal, Dusk had arrived. The sky outside mirrored her page, clouds layered and full of possibility. Everyone carries a dream garden within them. This week is an invitation to wander yours. Notice what grows there, untamed and true. Let it spill gently onto the page. When I work on these weekly pages, I like to ask myself how the prompt feels emotionally, and I try to find the balance between emotional visual and literal imageries. If you are doing this challenge too, remember that your interpretation can be completely different, and that's the beauty of it. At this point of the prompt, I'm starting to slow down a bit and pay attention to composition and the layout of the pages. I'm noticing where my eye naturally goes on the page and adjusting areas that feel too heavy or too empty, where I place the illustrations and the amount of words that I can put. I usually do this part digitally. I rough draft them on my iPad, and other times sketching on a separate paper. There are certainly some phrases or sentences that don't make it to the final draft while still making the whole prompt story make sense, This way is more efficient for me, making less room for errors, if not zero, when I finally put everything together in my journal. This is usually the stage where the page begins to guide my decisions. Like I said, I try to find balance in everything. If something feels off, I don't force it. Other times, I may include a lot of descriptive words and objects that can be turned into illustrations, but not everything needs to be illustrated. I just pick some things I feel more important to paint just so I could have something distinct for a certain prompt. For example, Ilara, the main character, is me and she's an artist, and her art journal is always mentioned around the story, so I won't be illustrating her art journal all the time. Instead, I look into other objects or scenarios that I can paint. Sometimes I leave them as words, and it's up to me or the reader to envision that. Because if I do illustrate everything, I think a single prompt story would take several pages than it should, at least for me. But of course, you have creative freedom to do however you want to interpret your art journal prompts. If you would like to receive my paintings and entries from my art journal exclusively, I recently launched my Patreon where I turn these into stickers and postcards. Patreon is a membership platform where you can get access to exclusive content like the first looks in my latest paintings and art journal entries. These are the rest of the weekly prompts that I don't get to include in the video. You will receive monthly physical rewards like postcard prints, art journal prompts, sticker sheets, and more that are exclusive and are not available anywhere else. The first month in my mail club was such a delight. I'm so grateful to all of you who supported the launch. I have different membership tiers that you can choose to pledge from. I just posted the preview of the rewards for this month on my Patreon, and I'm showing them here too. The Treasured Royals Mail Club tier is where you can receive everything here. Last month, I made a surprise welcome sticker too, so I might include another bonus for this one. These come in a custom envelope. The shipping is included in the membership price and it's open internationally. I am so blessed to have members from 7 nations in the first month, and there are new members from more nations who just signed up. I think there's around 4 or 5 new nations that I welcomed this past few days. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to welcome more members from different parts of the world. I think it's high time to introduce this volume of letters in the overseas mailing services here in the Philippines in this way. I think it's quite, infrequent, not rare, infrequent here that the postmaster gets shocked every time by the amount of letters I send, because they are not used to seeing this much mail going out, especially from the province where I live. So I thank you all for joining, and it's really opening up doors to more mailing opportunities, as this encourages other people who wanted to join the mail club whenever they see someone from their nation receiving a mail like this. It eases any hesitations that they may have, and it's also time for the Philippines Post in the province to get more used to it. I cannot wait to prepare your mail rewards and send them to you. But that's the 5th week in my art journal. If you enjoy this kind of prompt-based journaling, you might want to stick around for the rest of the challenge series. I would love to see what you create if you decide to pledge in my Patreon, or even if you're just here to support and get inspired by the paintings and stories. We are almost at the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, remember to give it a thumbs up. Also, let's stay connected by subscribing to this channel for more art and journaling videos. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and have a lovely rest of your day or night. I love you all. Bye!